Gilbo here, taking a look at stacks for tonight's 10-game slate. No cores, so we do have to work around some other options. Not even that cores has been that stackable of late just because of the runs that have been going off. Eventually, it's going to come around to become the ballpark that we know it is. But looking at tonight's slate, 10 games, jump into the first one here, Reds and Pirates, Ivan Nova versus Amir Garrett. Neither of these ones are particularly stackable. I like Nova tonight. Amir Garrett, look at his Pirates team. I mean, it's just basically more one-offs right now. In this ballpark, home runs are tough to come by this time of year. Guys like Marte, Mercer, McCutchen, yes, decent histories against lefties. Freeze as well, but kind of washed up over the years. Polanco, I mean, not a great hitter against lefties. Did have a decent 200 ISO, but overall, nothing really appealing about this game as far as stacks go. Next one, Mets and Phillies, Vince Velasquez versus Zach Wheeler. Mets stack definitely paid off last night. You look at it tonight, definitely a tougher arm to go against. The one thing you can note is Vince Velasquez has struggled against lefties going back to last year. 1.79 home runs per nine allowed, 34.7% ground ball rate. Still a 27% strikeout rate, though, so he does KO lefties, giving up a 30-49 WOBA and a 34% hard contact rate. So that's the kind of the one concern, which I talked about with Velasquez on the pitcher pod. But, looking at all these guys outside of Cespedes, this is a heavy left-handed lineup. So, if you want to go back to the well, I don't think I'm going to be having a Mets stack tonight. I could see it hitting again, but I just don't think they're going to, come close to what they put up last night, especially with the ownership probably getting a little bit of a boost as well. People are going to be chasing that one. The stats are there to back it up for them to go. I'm just going to be looking elsewhere. On the Phillies side, Zach Wheeler still working his way back from injury and missing a season. They don't have any real stacking appeal here either. Milwaukee and Toronto, Marcus Stroman versus Chase Anderson. Chase Anderson, a reverse splits pitcher, gave up a 392 WOBA to righties last year, 190 home runs per nine. Doesn't miss bats, gave up 40% hard contact rate. So you look at guys here, I mean, the one issue for me, Josh Johnson, questionable. Once again, dealing with the calf. If he's back in the lineup, I like it a bit. Troy Tulowitzki fielded nicely, though, in that 4 spot last night. I think the Jays are definitely a stackable offense here at home. Looking at Travis, Donaldson, or Bautista, Tulowitzki, all right-handed outside of Kendrys Morales, who I'm still okay with. Once again, this is a much more appropriate stack here on FanDuel. The prices are really nice there. I just don't like the Devin Travis price over on DraftKings. Bautista 4.7 as well. It's still workable just because there isn't a lot of pitching, but the points per dollar value is definitely there on FanDuel, but you can certainly stack on both sites. As far as the Brewers go, not really looking to stack them tonight. Marcus Stroman limits damage fairly well. I much rather target them against lefties if I am stacking. Braves and Marlins, Tom Kohler versus Jaime Garcia. Not particularly excited with using these guys here. I don't think it's really a stackable game. You could just use more one-offs. That's about it for me, especially in that ballpark. We did see Marlins hit last night, but it was Marcell Ozuna, and kind of everyone else was just a bunch of singles and walks. That was it. Baltimore, Boston, Stephen Wright versus Ubaldo Jimenez. You can certainly look at stacking the Sox here, and I think once again over on FanDuel they carry much better value with basically everyone but Mookie Betts under 3.5. I don't mind using that, especially against Ubaldo Jimenez, who struggled against both sides of the plate last year. I mean, 316 WOBA allowed to righties. This guy was up and down over the course of the season. It really did struggle with lefties. Obviously, Benintendi is the one you can really look at if you are keying in on one. I certainly don't mind going that route. So Sox are in play, predicted for 4 runs. As far as Baltimore goes, it would be a boom or bust stack. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm disappointed. I was on Baltimore last night figuring Pomeranz. Not sure what we're going to get out of him. But Stephen Wright, kind of a guy who doesn't give up a ton, but can give up a couple homers. I mean, knuckleballs are a little prone at times. We did see Wright pitch better early in the year last year, and then kind of struggled as the warmer months came about. Given the fact that it's about 55 there tonight, I think Baltimore's more of a one-off team. Los Angeles and Chicago, John Lackey versus Brandon McCarthy. Low run totals. You get the wind blowing in there at Wrigley. That's kind of tough for hitters to deal with. It would be a sneaky stack on both sides here. I don't think Brandon McCarthy's a bad arm, and I don't think Lackey's obviously a bad arm. But because we're looking at those two arms, because we're looking at this game, it just kind of, for those two offenses, it just kind of seems like matchups for the price tags. So I can kind of see people hopping off or maybe just using a one-off. So a stack would be worthy. You do look at Lackey. I mean, was decent against lefties last year. Did give up a 34% hard contact rate. Didn't give up a ton of homers. Lackey was just kind of a guy who was, limited a lot of damage. So, I think the Cubs are much more playable than the Dodgers here, but I'm not opposed to stacking both. Oakland and Kansas City, Jason Hamill versus Andrew Triggs. I don't want any stacking here in this ballpark. Wind's blowing out a little bit, but not enough for me to really hop on board. Definitely not stacking the Royals. Oakland, they definitely have a little bit pop. I mean, Matt Joyce, Ryan Healy, Chris Davis seem vogued. I can get behind it, but the odds of that happening are slim to none. Moving into the tougher ballparks here, I mean, it's not a great stacking night, guys, if you kind of are getting my gist here as we're 3 games left. Texas and Los Angeles, Jesse Chavez versus AJ Griffin. AJ Griffin's a guy who I mean, against righties, definitely decent. Does give up the long ball, 1.52 home runs per 9. Lefties really hit him hard, going back to last year, 414 WOBA. With that being said, there's only one lefty bat to really worry about, and that's Cole Calhoun. Tough ballpark to really get anything going as far as stacking wise. I'm okay with an Angel stack just because things are slim tonight, but in that ballpark, it's really tough to deal with. So I think the odds are once again kind of slim to none, but I'm okay with a Calhoun, Trout, Pujols type stack to kind of get things going tonight because you can definitely afford it. Trout's expensive, but the other two are not, and the pitching is not expensive on the slate as well. Looking at the Texas side of things, Jesse Chavez, a guy who has struggled with lefties at times in his career. I'm okay with actually stacking Rangers. Usually I don't like stacking this ballpark, but kind of tonight to give some options, I don't mind it. Chu, Mazar, Odor all in play. I like Gomez. If you want a one-off in Napoli, I'm okay with that as well. So it's certainly in play. I'm not a big fan of Chavez. I think his stuff is league average at best. So I'm okay with doing that here. Houston, Seattle. This one, I mean, going to be once again tough to find any real upside in. There's a lot of big, bats here that do have some power, but Mike Fiers, reverse splits pitcher. Not to say that he was, great against lefties, but definitely worse off against right-handers. I'm actually okay with a Mitch Haniger, Cano, Cruz, Seager stack tonight. I'm actually fine with that in Safeco. It is tougher on the tougher side, but they might have the roof closed there, which would help things out a little bit. So Haniger, once again, still bare minimum on FanDuel, so I definitely can take that. And really, Cano, Cruz, Seager, I mean, it's bound to get going here sooner or later. So Seattle stack certainly in play tonight. Should be fairly sneaky as well. But, Fiers is not just a gimme arm out there as well. As far as Giovanni Gallardo goes, guy struggled, with lefties last year. Righties as well, 352 WOBA allowed, 1.26 home runs per 9. Basically, I think this is probably the most stackable game of the night as far as the night games there on the West Coast. Gallardo is certainly not a talented right-hander at this stage in his career. The blow-ups have been far more prone. Springer, Bregman, Altuve, Correa, all with massive potential. But it's also the downside there with Safeco. We could see a lot of balls to the track and kind of see one of those games where parts of the stacks hit, which is why I think it's probably more of a one-off night than a stack in general. Arizona, San Francisco, looks like the weather's kind of rolling in here. I don't think both these arms are certainly guys you can stack against. I don't think it's really going to hit on tonight's slate. I think the weather's going to be going in. Looks risky to even begin with. With bad weather in that ballpark, I don't see a ton of stacking potential anyway. So that's going to wrap things up here. You can head over to datafantasycafe.com, check out our great tools and cheat sheets.